So do you want to go over the pronunciation stick I sent you as a joke?
Sure, yeah, we can go over that.
Pull
I've
it up
got
on.
it. Michigan pronunciation PowerPoint. It's pulled up on screen. I can actually share my screen with you if you want.
So you remember we had that state senate candidate from Michigan who right after the draft leak, and you pronounced it as Muskegon.
Yeah.
And then that led me to create this.
Okay.
So I did the female story, but if you want to go to the first page or the next slide technically, so slide 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to try to pronounce both of those, and I want to see if you can get both.
Okay, now I know that Muskegon is wrong, so I'm going to say Muskegon and
Yes,
Kakalin.
very good. Okay,
Awesome.
level 2.
All right, let me move to the next page. Okay, level 2
All right.
French influence.
Yep. A
So
lot of
you want
French
me
settlers
to attempt
along
these?
the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Mackinac. I know that was wrong. Charlevoix. And Pont au Barbeau. No, Barquet. Yeah, Point au Barquet. Is that right or no?
We have Mackinac, Charlevoix, and Pointe-à-Barques. That's
Point
how we
au
pronounce it.
Barques. Point au
Yep.
Barques. Okay.
Yep. I know if there's people here who speak actual French, that's not technically right, but almost all of Michigan's French-sounding towns are not technically right.
So it's Charlevoix, you say?
Boy, like
Charlevoix.
voyeur,
Okay.
boy, yeah.
Got it. That was a weird example, but okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay,
Moving up.
interesting. All right, let's hit the next one. The next page. Level 3. Welcome to the up. Let's see.
UP, Upper Peninsula.
Oh, UP. Okay. Let's see. STE, is that sweet? Salt Sweet Marie?
Sault Ste. Marie.
Sault Ste. Marie. Okay.
Yeah, like SOO is how you would pronounce it.
Got it.
Like
Okay. And then we've got Isheming? Is that how it is?
Ish,
Or
Ishpeming.
Oh, okay, Ishpeming. And then we've got Ontonagon, right?
Ontonagon.
Okay. Ontonagon. And then we got Nobbinway.
That one's right. You got that one right.
Nice. All right. And then we've got, let's see, the next page. Oop, wait. Okay, level 4 wrap up. Is this one just Salanti?
No, it's Ypsilanti. It's spelled with a Y, but you sound it like an I.
Ypsilanti. Okay, Ypsilanti. And then we got Kanakasi.
Quanakasi.
Quanakasi. Okay. And then, hey, let me think about this one. It's Titabawasi?
Titabawasi.
Titabawasi. Okay. And then Tecumseh.
Tecumseh, yeah. That's
okay.
That's just a regionalization of the last part of the syllable.
Got it. Okay. And then we've got the last one, which is Lapeer.
Yes. My church campus is Lapeer, and that's what we're going to be discussing back and forth here as we play this game.
Interesting. Okay. When I was younger, there was a hurricane, West Virginia. It was spelled like hurricane. It looked like hurricane, but it was actually pronounced hurricane. And people got really indignant and pissed off at you if you mispronounced it. Hurricane.
Yeah, if you go into Ypsilanti, you say Ypsilanti, people will give you stares.
Really? That's funny.
So the church camp I went to was actually called Camp Leal. It's in Lapeer County, which is about 20 minutes east of Flint, along a small lake called Lake Skinner. It's been there for 75 years this year. And I went there from 3rd grade until the year after I graduated high school for a week in the summer. It is a Detroit Baptist camp, which is essentially a Southern Baptist camp without the baggage of Southern Baptists in Michigan. The first thing they do when you pull into this camp, which is off a dirt road, is a Frisbee golf course from the late 80s that they put in. Like, this is really early Frisbee golf course. So instead of the big chain buckets that they have now, it's just essentially a post wrapped in aluminum ductwork that you snap. So we went there when I was at the Baptist church camp. It was a fun time. I This was the camp that after my sophomore year of high school, the year we went there, that I came back. My parents wiped everything out of my room, and I had literally nothing but clothes in my bed when I got. Like they got rid of everything else. You just put it away in storage or just tossed it. So I
That's
had
messed up.
I oh yeah, that was not a fun week when I got back, because it was the only camp that I went to that my dad didn't go along as well. So it was very much you, you're alone, but you don't know what's gonna happen when we get back.
Right.
Have you ever heard of IHOP?
IHOP, like International House of Pancakes, you mean?
Close. Try the Christian version of that.
The
What do you
Christian
think the Christian
version?
version of that is? Yes.
International House of Prayer?
Very good.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, I
based
thought so.
in
I think I've heard of it before.
yeah. It's based in Missouri. I want to say Kansas City. And the youth pastor that came for middle school and high school, I always came to Lael to run the devotionals and the worship stuff. He was something else. He claimed he got over testicular cancer because God saved him and not the medicine. And he did faith healings with us. My senior year, when I was trying to break out, I was like, "Well, I don't feel anything, so I'm going to try to make something up, see if I feel something." And obviously that didn't work because I didn't stay. But
Right.
I was very much in the camp of, well, if something's going to happen, something's going to happen, and nothing happened. I Your first thing you did when you got there was you got to learn the song for the year, where they did like this a Christian pop song of some type that you would learn hand signals to in like a weird white people dance.
Okay.
I Very cringy, and by the end of the week, you knew it so well that you got to perform in front of all your parents, and they came and picked you up.
That sounds absolutely terrible. Did it suck?
It
I mean,
is.
what was the
Yes.
experience like?
Well, the only reason I like the camp is because my parents went there, because I didn't have as much overlearning. But
Right.
it definitely, in hindsight, not the best. A lot of things that were done that I definitely wish I didn't do.
Got any
I
examples?
yeah, well, the first one was during the high school camps. After you were supposed to go to bed, almost everyone in the camp snuck out of their cabins, and there were 3 villages of cabins. So you're looking at, if all the cabins were full that week, about 150 kids at a
Right.
time. Get out and restart the campfires and essentially assault
Uh-oh.
each other with whatever they had in the cabins.
They would
So
what?
people brought essentially assault each other with whatever they had in the cabin. So you'd have people bring water guns, marshmallow guns, small slingshots, and you go around and
Interesting.
organize and like attack each other.
Oh,
It's
that
just
sounds kind of fun,
very
right?
awkward. I Until you get smacked with a pillow with rocks in it. Like
Okay.
it definitely got very abusive after some time.
Interesting. Okay.
Your
So the
first
camp
night
was
there,
generally a bad experience then, you would say?
I very much be a macho man and do what you're told by the adults there. Yeah, it was
That sucks.
awkward. Like I did scout camp shit, but this was a whole other level of weird.
Right.
I need for gas. But like all the campfires, they had like a set of songs they did every night. It's always the same ones, but you knew them all, so you all sang along.
Right.
And they started off with it's just like a church service, more energetic, upbeat songs with fun. And at the end, you were doing praise and worship songs. It was very much a scripted plan.
Well, I don't
The
think I ever went to any kind of church camp. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses don't really have church camp like that. So it was all. It's weird. Jehovah's Witnesses are all about being like. All the kids go to adult services. Everything is adult everything. Like, they don't try
you're
to dumb
supposed to be
things
right
down to
off
the
the
kids
bat.
or anything. Hmm?
Yeah, you're supposed to be an adult right off the bat.
Yeah, pretty much. And it honestly sucked. And kids are punished for not, like, acting more adult, I guess you could say.
which
Like little
kind of
kids,
tracks.
you know, they squirm and kind of move around and can't sit still because they're kids, right?
Yeah.
And they're punished terribly for it. Like they're just not treated well if they can't just sit perfectly still for like hours at a time. You know.
The the waterfront was interesting though, because it was on a lake, so you had basic swim, whatever. But they also had this big ass blob that was like a diving platform under a big pillow.
Right.
So the first person would just climb up onto the blob, walk over to the end, and then someone would jump off of a 16-foot tower onto the other end of the blob and shoot him up in the air.
Mm.
As someone who couldn't swim, I just got on a kayak and watched because I was not doing that at all. That was not happening.
Wow. You couldn't swim at the time, I guess.
I can barely swim ever. I've never been good at it.
Really?
I have the natural buoyancy of a rock. Like I took 6 years of swim lessons at the Y, and I failed every one as a kid. It was
Interesting.
just that bad.
I wonder why it never stuck. That's pretty interesting.
Well, considering I was in scouts, that was very difficult for me to get my eagle because you have to be able to have a modicum of swimming. And
Oh, that's right. You're an Eagle Scout, right?
yeah, so
Wow, that's
swimming
crazy.
is not something that was easy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've been swimming since I was a little kid, you know. I've never had any real trouble with it. Some
What's funny is
people
my
are
mother
just good
actually
at it, I
swam in
guess.
college. Yeah, like my mother swam in college, like for the local Division II team. So it's not like I don't have anyone in my family who knows how to swim and has issues. Like I just can't swim.
Right.
The if you got out on the kayaks and you weren't supposed to, because it's not like the camp kept anything under lock and key like they really should for a youth camp. There was a bog across the lake, and also a subdivision that was put up in the late '90s with like really expensive houses,
Right.
and it would sometimes steal the boats and go cause havoc or go have sex on the bog. Even though the first night you had a big meeting with your attendant about how red and blue aren't supposed to make purple while you're here. And of course, they did the whole, you take responsibility for yourself.
I'm trying to understand that analogy. I don't think I get it, but okay.
Boys and girls aren't supposed to have sex.
Right.
Red and blue don't make purple while you're here.
I don't get the blue or and the red part I only barely get, and I'm not even sure I got it right. What a weird saying.
It's just, yeah. It's just that those colors mix in normally, but we're not going to mix them here.
Okay.
That's not right.
That's
it was definitely a dumb analogy.
Right. Interesting though. That sounds like an interesting experience. I mean, was it a nice camp, like a high quality camp though, or was it like a rundown piece of shit?
Most of the buildings were okay. The chapel was aging. The one village was pretty gross. Like the villages were Bethel, named after the biblical place.
Yeah.
Northwest side of camp, and then Kresge, named after the Kmart founder who donated money to start this camp.
Oh,
Because
wow.
he was part of the Baptist group. And I worked at Kmart, so, my first job was at Kmart, so that was fun knowledge afterwards. It was the same guy.
Right.
Oh, what's this? Get out of here.
You find something interesting?
Overlord came over and paused production on one of my Stargates.
Oh.
I didn't put cannons up. Yeah.
Oh, that's messed up, really?
Oh, what's this?
Oh, that sucks. The, what do you call it? I forget what you call that.
Contamination.
Yeah, contamination.
Back to where I was. Red girls, boys blue, and don't mix them up. Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna guess. Mama Sar's knitter had a similar experience at something growing up. But yeah, like
Okay,
the
that
sex
makes sense, I
education
guess.
program they had was always really great. Because it's like, well, you're not supposed to do anything. You know how it works, though, right? Like it's like obviously Christianizing. Please don't have sex. Please don't have sex.
Right.
which never helps because teenagers.
Right. It's an inevitability, unfortunately, sometimes.
And like last night when I went to our local rally for reproductive rights because in Michigan there's a ballot post to get signatures for to codify Roe into the state constitution,
Yeah.
and they had a big rally for it. Next town, I went and I posted on Reddit, and I have like five. It's one of those posts that's like only 1,000 upvotes, but like 1,000 comments. So it's like what marked controversial.
Right.
And the amount of junk I hear from people like that were taught the same thing I was, it's just like you obviously never really thought about this.
Yeah, I'm not really happy with the state of reproductive rights at the moment either.
At least you're in a
Just
state that you're pretty much never going to have an issue, but
That's true,
everyone
but it's not
is
about
going to
me.
have
I
one.
mean, I'm married
Correct.
and I don't, if I had a kid, it wouldn't be a big deal. I don't worry about me. I worry about everybody else. And
And I mentioned that before. I'm caught up in it too because if the law that Michigan has gets upheld in state Supreme Court, I don't get another kid
right.
because of how strict that law is. So
Yeah.
there's a ballot measure that's they got like 12 days to collect enough signatures, and hopefully they get enough so that we can stop the uh, law from going into effect. Because otherwise it's going to take this election and it's pretty much over because the Republicans only have to win one of like 4 different elections and they can enact the law without any repercussions.
Right, because
It's already
you
settled on the book.
you go the IVF route, don't you, to in vitro
Correct.
fertilization? Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
And
going to be just done
there,
away with if, certain
if there's
things happen.
if there's an absolute
If there's an absolute what? You cut out.
ban. So like technically by Texas's 6-week rule, it would be allowed, but
Right.
it's pretty obvious they're not stopping there.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of figuring out who's gonna blink first. And Michigan does
Yeah.
not have a good reputation of doing the right thing recently. You think
Right.
Flint water crisis was in our state less than a decade ago.
Is Flint better or?
Flint's got more problems than just the water, but it definitely didn't help it at all. The water's fine now. There's nothing wrong with the water now. It's just that Flint has a reputation, and it's not a very positive one. Because
A
it's a town that
reputation?
is it's a reputation as a violent town still. And the documentary Flint Town on Netflix did not help that cause whatsoever.
Interesting.
And there are issues with Flint, but most of it is just the stereotypes of Flint get pushed on the people who live there still,
Right.
which is completely normal.
Yeah.
And everyone acts like their town's so much better. It's like, well, I know my town specifically back in the 50s, we bulldozed 16 blocks of houses because it was supposedly a high crime area. Turns out
Holy
that was
shit.
the only 16 block area that was majority black. So,
Wow.
uh-huh.
Jesus Christ, that is messed up.
So we did a lot of dumb things, and we fixed crimes. Like, when you didn't fix crime, you just split everyone up because it was a community of people, and they no longer had that community because they're gone. Now there's a public housing project and a new after the time park. There's nothing there. The Catholic
Right.
churches, they're shut down, so there's like nothing there. Just fun, and when you think about it, of the fact that we tore this down to have less crime, and now there's nothing there at all. It's like, good job, guys.
That is ridiculous, dude.
When you left the church camp, the last thing you saw was a big art that said that I don't let the world squeeze you into their mold, saying that you need to be essentially an outcast.
Right.
And you doing anything but what God wants you is wrong. So don't listen to the secular people and just do whatever we want you to do, not anything that you want to do.
Right.
So those people are loads of fun. And I saw 75 years. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
can't
this
believe I
stuff
went
is
there for
so
almost a decade.
deeply harmful. Wait, there must be another enemy somewhere. I just cleared the
Empty.
full top row. Did you hit
I
the?
see that. Yeah, all three of the bottoms were empty. I wonder if there's something in front of these.
Let me send. I have some observers. I'm gonna send a couple to like the base
I'm
centers.
going here.
All right.
I'm holding the rest of them at this one.
Okay. Yeah, here's one.
That might be it.
Yeah, it's purple, I think. No, they haven't given up yet, so I think there's one more base somewhere.
There
Oh,
we go.
there's pink. I'm gonna station an observer
Yeah.
here, make sure they don't come back.
Coming down the side.
Here's green. This is such a good game, honestly. Yep, here's green.
Oh. I think there's somebody in this corner too. Yeah, because I blues here in the corner.
Stop.
Blowing, they keep blowing probes out. There we go.
Nice. That was pretty good. Next time we can probably increase it to like a higher difficulty. I bet we could take on 6 of those guys.
2 of the AIs outfarmed us on resources. How the hell is that even possible?
Jesus Christ. They must have created like a billion probes. I think I had a full page of probes on minerals and then 8 or 10 on Vespine.
So that was my church camp. It was not the greatest, but you know it still exists and it's still out there and it's still damaging people. And it's
what was the name of it again?
Lael, Lael, along Lake Skinner in Lapeer, Michigan. They have a website. They try to get more donations to do more stuff. Only other weird story that I have is there was a tornado warning because last month there was a tornado through Gaylord, which is about an hour and a half north of me.
Right.
Yes, and it's spelled Gaylord. They love that joke all the time.
Okay.
And down south they usually get tornadoes because it's a little more hilly, so you get more changes in atmospheric pressure. And we had to all hoof it from the cabins, which the one I was in was the farthest one away at almost half a mile, to this essentially bunker building they built into a hill for that reason. And you know they're like, "Oh, Jesus will save us. We'll be fine." It's like the tornado. No tornado problems ever happen. It was just we listened to the weather alerts and just followed. Like they try to make it as a thing of, look, we're saved.
Right.
And it's like no, we're not.
You get a lot of tornadoes up there?
Nowhere near like Tornado Alley, but Michigan gets like 5 to 10 a year.
Interesting. I had no idea. There were a couple tornadoes that touched down in West Virginia, in some of the flatter areas. But yeah, they're not super common in West Virginia either. It's very hilly there,
I'm trying to think of there was a groundskeeper who lived in like this stone house at the southern edge of the property that always made herbal teas for everyone. That was really freaky. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
And
purple teas, you say?
Herbal teas.
Oh, herbal. Okay.
Yeah, just from whatever was growing in the area, like clover and stuff like that.
That's weird.
And then in the senior high, you're supposed to do a day of service to the camp. Essentially clean up our mess. And the one year we had a bonfire. And actually, let me see if I can pull up that picture and I'll share the screen because it's something.
Okay, switch screens back. Okay, there we go. So, hang on. I gotta zoom out. There it is. There's the picture.
Yeah, so this is me, my final year there. That fire is about 50 feet behind me. That is all the junk that they picked up from the week, put in a big pile, and lit on fire.
Jesus
couldn't get
Christ.
any closer because it was so hot. You could see the scorch rings around the bottom. And it actually got the fire department called because they thought someone lit the forest on fire.
That is nuts.
We hiked it to this big open field where they had this stuff piled up, watched them douse it with about 3 gallons of gasoline, and then we stayed there for like 3 or 4 hours while it burned out.
Right.
And it was just so rough.
That is insane.
And that's a bonfire. It's just the fact that use child labor to get you a bonfire is. With that, I'll let you hop on to with Real Pumpkin J, and I'll get back to work to actually work now because I've been driving all morning.
Okay, that's cool. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been fun, and I will talk to you next time, okay?